They asked for 80%, not politely, not quietly, like the outcome had already been decided.
They asked for 80%, not quietly, not politely. It was a verdict already decided. Her lawyer leaned back, fingers interlocked, his voice calm and confident. "If you cooperate," he said, "this ends quickly. If you don't, we will drag you through court and destroy what's left of your reputation." She sat beside him, my wife of 26 years, legs crossed, a small smile playing on her lips. It was the smile of someone who believes the fight is already over. I didn't respond. Silence stretched across the room, filling the space between us. It made her uncomfortable. She shifted in her chair, cleared her throat. "Did you hear him?" she asked. "This is your last chance to be reasonable." I nodded slowly. "I heard." Her lawyer slid a folder across the polished table. I didn't touch it. "You built everything during the marriage," he continued. "The company, the properties, the intellectual rights? Legally, she's entitled to most of it. 80% is generous, considering what we could demand." I looked at her, searching her face for something familiar, a flicker of the person I had known. But there was nothing there. Just cold calculation. "You're very confident," I said, my voice even. Her smile widened. "Because I know how this ends." I closed the small notebook I had brought, stood up, and adjusted my jacket, then let it end in court. Her lawyer frowned, the confidence momentarily faltering. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe," I said, turning towards the door, "but it'll be my own." They left that room convinced they had won. She didn't look back once. What they didn't know was that our marriage hadn't been the only thing falling apart over the last few years. While she was coming home late, taking secret trips, and whispering into her phone, I didn't confront her. I watched. And I prepared. 3 years earlier, I had quietly begun to separate the company's core assets. New entities were formed. Independent trusts were established. The legal structures were clean, transparent, and completely lawful. The patents she thought were joint property no longer belonged to me personally. The lake house she loved to brag about to her friends had been transferred into a family trust, a document she herself had signed without reading. She was so wrapped up in the illusion she lived in, she never questioned the paperwork. She trusted me, or rather, she trusted her perception of me as someone she could easily outmaneuver. 2 weeks later, the court papers arrived. She wanted everything: the company, the properties, a lifetime payout. She painted a picture of herself as the architect behind my success, the silent genius I supposedly leaned on for every decision. I read the claims and didn't correct her. Let them believe their own story. The discovery phase began, and her legal team grew restless. Their questions came back with answers that didn't fit their narrative. Assets they listed didn't connect. The numbers just didn't align. Her lawyer finally called me directly. His voice lacked its previous swagger. "Your disclosures are incomplete." "They're complete," I replied calmly, "just not what you expected." The first real crack in their case appeared when a federal notice landed on her lawyer's desk. It was a routine clarification request about ownership claims on a patent she had listed under my name. The problem was, the patent wasn't mine to claim. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. You don't casually misrepresent ownership when clear government records exist to prove you wrong. The entire tone of the case changed overnight. Her lawyer, facing potential legal trouble of his own for filing false claims, withdrew from the case within days. That's when she called me. Her voice was no longer composed. It was angry, shaken. "What did you do?" "Nothing," I said, and it was the honest truth. "I protected myself." She launched into a tirade, accusing me of betrayal, of hiding assets, of manipulation. I listened without interrupting, letting her expend all her fury. When she finally fell silent, I spoke. "You plan to take everything," I said calmly. "I plan to survive." The next mediation was a starkly different scene. The threats were gone. The confidence had evaporated. All that remained was paperwork and a heavy sense of exhaustion. She sat across from me, her eyes hollow, her hands clenched around a paper coffee cup. Her new lawyer, a young, nervous man, barely met her gaze. The settlement was a fraction of what she'd first demanded. A single payment, no ownership, no royalties, no control over the life I had built. She signed the papers without reading them this time. The fight was over. Months passed. The company grew. New contracts were signed, new projects launched. My life became quieter, simpler. There were no more performances, no more constant tension simmering beneath the surface. It was just peaceful. One evening, she showed up at my office unannounced. She looked different. Older, somehow, smaller, the formidable presence she once projected was gone. "I thought you needed me," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought without me everything would collapse." I shook my head, not out of pity, but out of a quiet finality. I needed peace, I told her, not possession. She asked if I hated her. "No," I replied. "I just don't build my life around people who measure love in percentages." She left without another word, without an argument. Later that night I sat alone on my balcony, the city lights stretching out below like a field of scattered diamonds, and I realized something important. She didn't lose because she asked for too much. She lost because she never truly understood what she was standing on. She saw assets, numbers, and leverage. She never saw the foundation. Some people think strength is loud. It's threats, demands, and power plays. They believe that the one who shouts the loudest is the one who will win. But real strength is quiet. It prepares. It observes. It waits for the right moment. And when that moment finally comes, it doesn't need to say a single word. Its actions have already spoken. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content.